Welcome to the broadcast. This is an in-depth guide to numerology in the Idaho 4 murder case. Last year I did a few readings for the Moscow murders. I didn't have a YouTube channel at the time, so I expect this to read as a case study of the numbers. Throughout this series I'll also sprinkle in some of the tarot readings and visions I got at the time as well. Let's get started. Numbers 66 and 13. The date numerology for November 13, 2022 was 66. It is also the 317th day of the year. 317 is the 66th prime. On October 14th, a month before the murders, Bryan Kohberger was pulled over at a traffic stop. The date numerology for that day was also 66. 66 is like 666. And means very negative energy. After the Idaho 4 was slain, online users started to connect it to other unsolved stabbings committed on the 13th of the month. This included a couple stabbed in Oregon on August 13th, 2021, a person stabbed in Illinois on June 13th, 2021, and an older woman in Washington state whose body was found on the 14th but presumed to have been murdered on June 13th, 2020. It was also reported that 103 pieces of evidence were taken from the King Road house. In numerology, zeros are placeholders, so this can still count as a 13. The only male victim, Ethan Chapin, was a fraternity member of Sigma Chi. The Sigma Chi motto also has a 13. Number 27. During October and November 2022, there were many criminal news stories involving suspects that were 27 years old. They were either committing crimes or appearing in court for crimes committed previously. These are just some examples. When the Moscow murders happened, I would have put money on the perpetrator being a 27-year-old. When an arrest was made, the headlines read something along the lines of 28-year-old arrested in Idaho murders. I thought, no, that can't be. I really thought it would have been a 27-year-old. Kohberger's birthday was on November 21, so at the time of the murders, technically he was 27. Kohberger was unexpectedly indicted by a grand jury 27 weeks before his birthday. As mentioned in previous videos and posts on my community section, 27 can point to the perpetrator. Kaylee's birthday to the end of the year is 207 days. Madison Mogen equals 207, so 27 again and again. Numbers 11, 22 and 21. This crime occurred in November 2022. That is arguably 11/22, like the 1122 King Road address where it took place. Kohberger's apartment is commonly believed to have been number 201. Again, zeros are placeholders, making that 21. Maddie and Kaylee were both 21 years old. Kohberger's birthday is also on the 21st of the month. The four victims were 20 and 21 years old. I was waiting for a 22-year-old to show up. Then the Emma Bailey rumours started. Emma is a friend of the roommate that was registered to but not at the address. Emma and her boyfriend Demetrius are in jail for their part in the death of a fraternity president. Emma Bailey is 22 years old. Her boyfriend's name also equals 22. For some reason, on May 4th, 22 days before the set May 25th motion hearing, police released traffic stop footage of Kohberger in Washington state. May 25th is also Maddie Mogen's birthday. On May 17th, a grand jury indicted Kohberger, effectively cancelling the June 26th pre-trial hearing. An arraignment was set for 22 May. Even Ashley Banfield mentions 22.
So presuming he hasn't actually waived speedy trial, he just waived the prelim, that would put his 6-month date at November 22nd, the Wednesday before Thanksgiving and right around the anniversary, of the murders. There is not a chance that anybody could go through 51 terabytes of material before Thanksgiving.
The 22nd of November is the day after BK's birthday. It also reads as 11/22, like the King Road address. Number 144. The number 144 is without a doubt the main number for mockery. The quote-unquote secret grand jury held to railroad the defense is not surprising at all. The reason I say that relates to the numbers. Upon his arrest, I noticed that Bryan Christopher Kohberger equals 144 in the purest cipher. This means that some mockery and nonsense was definitely set to take place. Evidence requests made by the defense were declined. Bethany Funk didn't want to appear in court for the defense. Pre-trial hearing date was set. People were getting their ducks in a row, but then this grand jury decision was suddenly announced, which then cancels the pre-trial. The prosecution's decision to go to grand jury has been quite unpopular with a public that strongly believes in a fair and transparent trial process. Notice that this 144 appears when using his full name, which is the name that appears on court documents. Side note, the prosecution eventually handed over 51 terabytes of evidence. 51 can mean, quote, to conspire, end quote. For example, 2 or more people conspiring against someone. Bethany Funk equals 51 in the purest cipher. Number 33. Have you been wondering about the Brent Kohberger situation? This went down 33 days after the Moscow murders, which is the same date that Ethan Chapin's cause of death was determined according to the affidavit. The 33 can relate to police. In the case of Kohberger, SWAT got him. Number 44. When the Moscow story came out, it was so gruesome that I knew with certainty that the number 44 would appear. I've mentioned 4 and 44 in previous videos and how it usually means horrific death. Now let's look at the time frame we have been given for the morning of the murders. Firstly, there are 4 victims. According to the affidavit, it all starts to pop off at 4:04 a.m. Maddie and Xana worked at the Mad Greek restaurant. On date numerology 44, the media reported that Kohberger had supposedly eaten there. Also, Mad Greek equals 44. The families of the victims are seeking the death penalty. Death penalty equals 193, the 44th prime. Kaylee's sister was pregnant during this terrible time. She ended up giving birth at 4:21 a.m. and named her daughter after Kaylee and Maddie. Is this time some sort of symmetry? With death comes life? Numbers 77, 74, and 47. Let's talk a little about murderer Dennis Rader, also known as BTK. He is currently imprisoned and was 77 years old when the Idaho 4 were slain. The acronym similarity between BTK and BK, Bryan Kohberger, is pretty clear to most. Many people also wanted to try and link the murders to Ted Bundy's MO. Bundy escaped prison in 1977 or 77. Bryan Kohberger equals 77, as does Kaylee Goncalves. Double numbers seem to get popularity in the media, which Kaylee certainly did comparative to the other victims. You can also see this in the address 1122, double. The case has no doubt had a lot of coverage, very much like the Gabby Petito and Brian Laundrie case. Also, 77 does show for Maddie, but I rank the strength of it there as being lower. Her birthday to the end of the year leaves 7 months and 7 days, 77. Back to Dennis Rader. BTK was an active murderer starting in 1974, or 74. 74 and 47 can be used interchangeably or in a mirror effect. Kohberger was on the loose for 47 days before he was arrested. 47 equals time. In part 2, I will discuss less numbers and more of the strangeness and readings around this case. Thank you for watching. Until next time.